Welcome back, everybody. As promised, I have the matcha tea kingmaker, Phil Owen, CEO of OnSight Pros. So, Phil, thanks so much for being here today.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, if you ever been to a NARPM event, you know that OnSight over the last year or so has been the matcha king, where they make all these great matchas. And I never had it before, and now I'm addicted. So
as long as the unions at the hotel will allow it,
that's right.
That's the kicker. Do we get busted by the unions?
So all right. So Phil, you're CEO of OnSight Pros. Can you tell us the story behind why and how OnSight Pros got started?
Yeah, absolutely. So it actually started. I didn't found it. I'm the CEO now, but the original founder was a property manager in San Antonio, Texas, named James Alderson. And,
right.
The long and short of the story is he went to a NARPM presentation by a gal named Susan Alburn. And in
She's
her
an
presentation,
OG, by the way, Susan's an OG.
That's exactly right. Yeah. And she basically scared the crap out of him. And he realized that he was not maintaining property awareness at his properties. He wasn't doing an adequate job of move-ins, move-outs, or periodic reports. And he realized the legal liability that he had hanging over his head, and realized that he did not have the capacity to do it himself or manage a team to do it. And so he said, man, I'm going to go find somebody that I can outsource this to. I outsource so many things in my business. Let me find somebody else who can do this. And he couldn't find somebody. So he started having some conversations with some other guys in the industry and said, hey, what if we all put our properties together? And we just found a third-party company that allows us to outsource our property awareness. And that's how OnSight Pros was born. And then people from other cities started going, well, when are you going to open up in our market? Right. And we've sort of spread across the country organically.
Now, how many markets are y'all in?
We're currently in 24 markets in 11 states.
Nice.
Stretching from Virginia Beach, Virginia to Salt Lake City, Utah, I think is our furthest west right now. We're still stretching the borders a little bit.
So tell us, what are the different types of property reports or, inspections, whatever you want to call them? What are the different types that you go through? So take me through like the life cycle of the house, and then how many times we got to get out there, and what are the different reporting types?
That's a really good question. And that's something that candidly is evolving a little bit as new technologies come into the mix and make different things available. For our purposes, we really just boil it down into two different categories. One is a basic report and one is a detailed report. A detailed encompasses your move in and move out reports. And in a detailed report, you want to capture every square foot of the property, whether it's damaged or not, so that you have a very thorough, this is what the property looked like before the tenant moved in. This is what the property looked like when the tenant moved out. We can compare those two things side by side. You get away from any issues of, well, it was like that when I moved in. So like on your move-in reports, a mistake that a lot of people make is they only document issues. But if you only document issues, you can't prove the negative. When at the end of the lease, the tenant says, oh, it was like that. You can't go back and say, well, I can show that it wasn't like that. So on a move in and move out, you want to document every square foot of the property, no matter what. The periodic is what we refer to as a basic. And that means you're looking at the same scope of work as what you're looking at on a move in and move out, but you're not necessarily taking pictures of everything. It's more of like an overview and issues type report, because you want to respect the tenant's privacy and frankly their time. You don't want to be in the house for 2-3 hours, right? You want to be able to get in and get out and let them get back to their lives. So as far as a timeline, typically and we actually just had a focus group a few months ago of some industry leaders to say, hey, talk us through what your property awareness timeline is. What does that look like? Let's build an industry standard. And the long and the short of it is they wanted to get into the property a couple of days before the tenant moved in. You always want to do that before the tenant moves in so that it's completely vacant. You can get all the floors, the ceiling, the walls, all that kind of stuff. Nothing is damaged during the move-in process. So really important that you actually get in before the tenant moves in. And then what we have understood is kind of industry best practice, and what most of our clients do is you get back out to the property the first time around month 3. That allows the tenant to have had the opportunity to kind of settle in. If they're smoking in the property, you're going to know it by then. If they've got illicit pets that aren't on the leash, you're going to know it by then. If they're hoarders, you're going to know it by then. If there are additional people who are living there that aren't on the leash, you're going to be able to identify it by then. It's not so early that you're going to miss things, but it's not so late that there's so much water under the bridge that, you know, the cat that they brought in has completely destroyed the carpet, or the cigarette smoke, or, you know, whatever the case may be. You get out there and you catch things early before it comes a much bigger problem. And then after that, you know, most of our clients tell us that they require a 60-day notice for renewal. So at that point, you would get back out to the property, you know, so that you get that lease renewal. Or if they tell you, hey, I'm going to vacate, then you go ahead and schedule the move out for the day after the tenant has left the property. And something that may be a topic, I don't know, for later in the conversation, a lot of our clients are also scheduling tenant self-inspections between those periodic assessments, where the tenant can use software to get eyes on the property. I don't know if that's a direction you want to go today, but that has been an interesting twist in the property awareness side of things.
Well, I was going to ask you what other reports do they use? So we got move in, move out, periodic, maybe periodic 2 times a year, month 3, maybe month 9 or 10, and then you have these resident self inspections. Are there any other instances that people have asked you guys to what's your take on drive-bys? Like, should property managers do drive-bys? Like, I never did it. I had 900 homes or 980 homes, so there was no way I was going to be able to do drive-bys. But I know people that they say they do drive-bys. What's y'all's take on that?
We do it. I don't think it's a valuable use of your time or resources because, frankly,
the house is there.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe you do a drive-by after a tornado hits. You know, maybe Kansas is a drive-by section.
That's right. Yeah, and we do a lot of that. You know, especially like in Florida when we'll have hurricanes. We have people send us out and just do exterior only reports for disaster assessments. But honestly, to me, with the technologies that are available now, the drive-by is pretty much a non-issue. You give the tenant an app and let them go take a picture of the front yard and the backyard, and you've accomplished the same purpose as a drive-by look would. The drive-by just doesn't tell you enough to make it meaningful. It's just making sure nothing's on fire, right? You're making sure there's not a trampoline or, a dog roaming around in the backyard, whatever. But, it's not a super valuable awareness item. Another report that people do, you ask what other reports people do, is an initial. And we highly recommend an initial report, or an intake, some people call it. When you first start managing a property, whether it's the move in and move out, that is to establish this was the condition before the tenant moved in and this condition when the tenant moved out. The initial assessment is to say, hey, this is the condition of the property when I started managing it, so that you don't get blamed for the failures of the previous management. And you don't get that call 3 months in going, how could you have allowed this to happen? You go, no, wait a minute. Let's look back. That was already there. And 2, it allows you to get that first look at the property before you start managing the property, to go, okay, look, here are code issues that I see. There aren't smoke alarms where they're supposed to be. In Texas, there's not a keyless deadbolt, whatever the case may be. Here are the things that before I start managing it and before we start renting it out, these are the things that are going to have to be done to bring it up to tenant landlord law or property code. And if you have an owner that balks at that and is like, well, I don't want to put smoke alarms in. Great. Well, I don't want to manage this property, because if you're not even going to do the minimum, which brings it up to code, dear God, what's it going to be like trying to get you to do preventative maintenance? That initial report's important.
I think it's a great idea, right? Because I still meet people today that they go and walk every property still that they're going to take on. And I understand why, right? Because if there are any issues, if the property is not up to code, and you get rid of those pain in the butt, clients ahead of time. I get that.
That's right.
When you're a high growth property management company is really hard to do. Even if you
Mm.
have salespeople, it's just hard to do. We actually got to the point where we were doing our sales through Zoom or just phone calls. We wouldn't even go see the property. Google Earth was our friend. And we would get a percentage of time, right? Not super high, but a percentage of time, 10, 12, 15% of time where it was a house like, why did we take this house? Like we
Yeah.
should have put eyes on that property. So let me ask you this on that initial report, right? There's hard dollars and then there's soft dollars, right? So if my team is going out to the property or I'm going out to the property, it's soft dollars, right? I'm paying them a salary already, or I'm paying myself, if I'm the business owner, probably nothing, right?
Mm.
But I'm paying. So like, but for you, to send a third party out, that's hard dollars, right? And I got to come up with that.
That's right.
And for whatever reason, people have this mindset that hard dollars cost more than soft dollars, which I can make an argument that soft dollars cost way more than hard dollars. But is there a way let's talk the initial just right now. Is there a way to get the client to potentially pay for that report? Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, almost all of our clients ask for their clients to pay for that. And they basically just say, hey, this is an initial assessment that helps us to identify any code issues, that helps us to identify any kind of maintenance issues that might be there, so that we can make sure that this house is ready for you to rent, and that we're going to be able to prevent any kind of significant legal liability for you and for us. And we want to make sure that you're ready for this to be a rental property. And so as a result, we're going to be sending out an independent third party, and this is what it costs. And I've never had a client tell me that an investor has batted an eye at doing that, because it covers them, it covers the client, like everybody's covered there.
Yeah, and I think that when you're doing it internally, you don't have a report, right? Like most of us don't, right? We just look at it, put eyes on it, maybe make a couple of notes on a scribble pad, and so that's hard for an owner to pay for.
Right.
But with OnSight or with OnSight Pros, I do know this because I used to use you guys here in Houston. I know that you guys produce a multi-page professional report where when we had any kickback, we would just literally send the report, and that kickback went away.
Yeah. A deliverable makes all the difference. When you're charging somebody for something, a deliverable makes all the difference. Now, in fairness, and I think everybody should use OnSight Pros, but you don't have to use OnSight Pros to be able to create a deliverable. You can use a tool like Z Inspector and have your team go out and create it. Now, I will tell you, it's a lot easier to bill when a third party goes out and does it, so that you can say, hey, here's the invoice, you pay this invoice, than it is to send your team out and go, well, I think you should pay us for our time, because they'll look at you and go, well, no, that's just something you should do as part of this. But when you have an actual company you're sending out and going, hey, this is who we sent and this is what it costs, here's the invoice, a lot easier to pass those costs along than when you're doing it in-house and trying to create the charge as a result of that.
Got it. Agreed. All right. So let's talk a little bit more in depth about the move-in report.
Yeah. So the move-in report is you're basically going out and trying to, our goal is to photo document every square foot of the property. And we use a 360 camera that you just set it in the middle of the room. You capture, one scan, and it captures the floor, the ceiling, the walls, so on and so forth. And then, beyond that, we have a list of criteria that we're taking in each room that we want to look at. We want to check all of the smoke alarms. We spray smoke in a can to make sure that not only, if you push the button, all you're doing is checking the battery and the horn, but we actually spray smoke in a can to simulate a smoke emergency. So that way, you have a functional smoke alarm and that the sensor is actually working. We pull them down, make sure that they're not older than 10 years old. Make sure that they are where they're supposed to be according to code. One of the important things to do on a move-in, move-out is to photo document the interior and exterior of cabinets and drawers, so that you can show that they were clean and empty when the tenant moved in, and then do that again on the move-out, because a lot of times they'll come back to you greasy, grimy, stuff left in there. And if you haven't photo documented the interior showing that they were clean and empty on the move-in, it's hard to charge the cleaning fee on the move-out because you can't document that it wasn't clean at the beginning.
So do you think it's possible that I can kind of do a 2-for-1 here? Like I can send you guys out to do the move-in, or if I going out doing it myself, right? But if the move-in looks good, which in theory it should, can I use those photos for listing as well? Or is that something I need
Absolutely.
to have
And
I need to have yet another person come in? Because with the 360 camera, I would think that you might be able to use those photos for listing.
yeah, and a lot of it, Pete, depends on the market. Right now, rental demand is high and inventory is low. So you can do that. Now, I'll tell you, if OnSight Pros, or if you're a maintenance guy, or whomever goes out there with an iPhone or an iPad or whatever the case may be, that is not going to get you the same pictures as a photographer who's a professional and knows how to set up the room and get the lighting right and has a DSLR. You're not going to get the same quality of image as you are. But the fact of the matter is, when the demand is high in the market, you're really just telling the story. You're showing the house. You're not, it's not like a sales listing, And for instance, we use the Ricoh Theta cameras. We're not using a $5,000 Matterport like you do sometimes in the sales listing. So it's not like this super high quality, sexy 360-degree image, but it tells the story of the property, where they go, does this fit my lifestyle? Will my family live well in this house? So from our portal, you can actually download a zip folder that has all the high resolution images from the move-in, save that, and then use that the next time that property is vacant. That's something.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, absolutely, you can do that. It doesn't produce the same results as sending a professional photog, but a lot of our clients use it that way.
If anybody knows me, you all know I'm cheap, and you all know I always try to figure out ways to make money here. So on the move-in report, who can I push that to? Is there a way to push the cost to the move-in report to either the tenant, prospective new tenant, or the owner? Is there?
Yeah.
What
I'll tell you this, and let me take a philosophical moment here. My degree's in philosophy, so let me philosophize here for a moment.
Thoughts with Phil Owen.
That's exactly right. So I strongly recommend to property managers, and I'm not one, so take this with a grain of salt. Everything I know about property managers, I've learned from our 1,000+ clients, but I spend a lot of time talking to very intelligent property managers. I highly recommend that for all of the report types that you perform, you charge both the owner and the tenant. And some people charge both the owner and the tenant the full amount and make it a profit center. Some say, hey, I'm going to charge the tenant 50% and the owner 50%. That's not my concern. The reason that I suggest that you charge both of them is even if you, so like for instance, for the move-in reports, most of our clients charge enough to cover both the move-in and the move-out report on an admin fee at move-in. And they basically just say, hey, Mr. Miss Tenant, I need your security deposit, I need your first month's rent, and I need your X dollars admin fee. And, the tenant pays that, and then they apply that money to pay for the move-in. Even if that completely covers the move-in and move-out, I strongly recommend that you charge at least a nominal fee to the homeowner, to the investor. And the reason for that is not greed, which you guys work hard and you deserve to make money. Go get paid. I'm all for you. But the real reason for that philosophically for me is it is a lot easier to increase an existing fee than it is to say, hey, I've always given you this. I'm going to continue to give you this, and now I'm going to charge you for it. So right now, you can charge enough with that move-in fee, with that admin fee, that you can cover the entire move-in and move-out report with that admin fee. But you've been around this industry long enough, and a lot of your listeners have been around this industry long enough to have seen, the signs, hey, no move-in fee, first month's rent free Xbox for every new tenant. I mean, like whatever, where, there's a scarcity of good tenants.
Right.
That's it.
Get a body in here. Yeah.
That's it. So when that pendulum shifts, you want to have that placeholder fee that's already being charged to the investor that you can say, hey, this fee just went from X to Y. It's a lot easier than saying, hey, I've always done this and I've given it to you for free, but now all of a sudden I'm going to start charging you. So I highly recommend charging both, but the majority of our clients are paying for it through an admin fee, and that covers the majority of the cost of the move-in and the move-out report.
Yeah, I know like the resident benefits package, you could kind of build that in. A lot of people doing that, right? The admin fee for that.
That's right.
I know one of the things that we did is we charged a move-in fee. So if you had a move-in fee, it was X dollars. And part of the move-in fee, because we don't want to just I don't like creating fees just just to create fees.
Junk fees, is that what the HUD secretary calls it? Junk fees, is that right?
Fees, yeah. And Todd, he's a fee monster, but every fee he does, there's some value there. And so if you bring value, so we used to charge X dollars, and in that you got the move in and move out fee, and why the move in report, the move out report, and why that was so important is because it helps them guarantee their security deposit back.
That's right.
So that it's helpful to the resident. Obviously, it's helpful to the property manager, and it's helpful to the owner as well. Yeah. All right. So on the move out, so I do have a couple of questions on there, because I think maybe I have a different philosophy than you, and and maybe we debate this, or maybe we agree. So you said that on your move in and your move out report, you want to document everything from head to toe. And I can tell you that we used to do that at first. And the challenge was going through those reports became very, very tedious, right? And it took hours of time, not just hours being at the property taking the photos, but then hours for the property manager, right? So we had field techs. If you're big enough to have field techs, great. We still used OnSight, even though we had field techs for our periodics, and an overflow of move in and move out. So I'm a big fan of Phil and his team over there. So, but my field tech would take 2-3 hours on a house, right? Depending on the size of it. And then my property manager would take 2 hours to kind of review this thing. So what we did is we said, you know what, on the move outs, now on the move ins, we did exactly what you said, head to toe, everything. On the move outs though, all we took photos were anything that looked like wear and tear or damage. And we went from 2-3 hours to house to 30 minutes to house, a 16-page report to a 2-page report. And it actually helped us. It reduced our overall cost, and it actually helped us have a reduction in security deposit disputes. So I just wanted to get your good, bad, and different. What's the positives and negatives of going it that way?
Yeah, I mean, well, clearly you're wrong. I'm just kidding. But no, so and there's value for you in that. I will tell you what we do in that approach, and I assume that any software out there like Z Inspector, anything like that, is going to have a similar functionality. But in our software, we're taking pictures of everything. But on items that we see that we go, oh, there's something wrong with that, there's a little button that we click that says needs further evaluation. And that puts it up in a summary section at the very top of the report that says, hey, before you get to the whole house walkthrough, here are all the items. Here are the pictures that we've marked as needs further evaluation. So a lot of our clients, they never look past that. They just look at those items marked as needs attention. The
documentation just in case, right?
That's exactly right. And then on our client portal,
can I look at your reports side to side?
Yeah, absolutely. Through our client portal, you can. Yeah.
Oh, that's
absolutely
amazing. Okay. Yeah. So I can look at kitchen to kitchen, living room to living room. So I don't have to sift through it, right? Like I have to sift through each report. I could just literally look at them side by side. And then, of course, if you pinpoint the damage, now instead of 2 hours reviewing it, I'm literally, and if you guys are doing it, I don't have to have a field tech do it for 3 hours.
That's exactly right. Now, the philosophy behind why we take a picture of everything is twofold.
Okay.
Number one, you never know what you're going to miss that might be important. And I can tell you, we had a situation.
The field tech might not think it's important, and it might become a big importance. So what's the example you have?
We had a situation in Atlanta, Georgia, and this just got wrapped up, but we did a move-in report. And in the move-in report, we were not taking a picture of the gas line. That's not something that's not part of our scope of work. We weren't trying to capture the gas line, but because we philosophically do things the way that we do, the gas line was in one of our pictures. Okay. I'll give a very brief summary, but tenants moved in, bought a gas powered dryer on Craigslist. I suspect that they tried to install it themselves. Go out for dinner, come back from dinner. They smell a musty smell. They thought there was mold or mildew coming from the washer dryer, lit a candle, blew up the whole house. Like literally lifted the roof off the house, walls come to like real bad.
I mean, obviously they didn't survive, which is the same.
They did survive. 80% burns over their entire body, internal burns from inhaling the flame. I mean, like real bad. Really sad situation, truly a tragic situation. But because we had taken pictures of everything, we inadvertently had a picture that showed that when they moved in, that gas valve was closed. So,
and now the insurance company, that's what they were looking for. They were trying to blame it on whoever. And now,
that's right. They want to say, well, that gas valve should have been closed and y'all had a gas leak, whatever. No. We were able to show that gas valve was unequivocally closed. But then when the fire marshal came and did the inspection after the fire, it was in the full open position. So our photo showed it in the full off position. After the fact, it was in the full on position. It was very clearly opened between the time that the tenant moved in and the time of the explosion. Those are the kind of things that you just don't know what you need, right? So that's number one, is there's so many things that you just don't know what you might need at what point. And we're in this industry, we're in risk mitigation, right? We're making sure that we're covering all those bases. The other thing, and this is what's unique to us, that you could do what you could do or what you do that we can't, right? As a third party, we can't make decisions for our clients. So you might be able to have a technician in a property and say, that wall doesn't need to be painted. I see the smudges, but we're just going to leave it as is. And they don't take a picture of it, right? We got to document everything because we've got to give you the photo information so that you look at it and go, I see why that was questionable and they didn't mark it as needs attention, but yeah, I'm going to go back and have that wall painted. We're not happy with that. That's a $500,000 house. Nobody expects to move into that house with smudges on the wall. So we have to photo document everything because we're not the decision makers. As a company representative, your team member could make that decision on the fly. We got to document it just in case you feel differently about it than we did. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense. Let's move on to periodics real quick. All right. So periodics, one of the main hassles is getting that resident on the line and having the resident, have somebody. Now, after a pandemic, it's actually been easier, as my guess, because more and more people are still working from home. During the pandemic, believe it or not, like we can get in any house. It was amazing. Like after the initial scare, right? Because everybody was working from home. So I know it's pain, but when you guys are doing the periodic, what are we looking for? What are the top three, or what are the top three things that you see that are maybe infractions or liabilities?
Instead of specific items, let me start with giving you categories. When you're doing a periodic report, you're really looking for three things. Is the tenant doing what they're supposed to be doing? Are they changing the air filter? Are they changing the batteries and the smoke alarms? Are they mowing the front yard and the backyard? I mean, there are things that they have to do to maintain that house, right? So are they doing what they're supposed to be doing? Number two, are they not doing what they're not supposed to be doing? Have they installed
in the house?
That's right. Trampoline, swimming pool. Do they have illicit pets? Are there 7 people living there when there are supposed to be 2 people living there? Are they not doing the things that they're not supposed to be doing?
Are they building a meth lab?
Details, right? Yeah.
Kind of stuff.
And then third is identifying any type of unnoticed or unreported maintenance or risk items or liability type items. So those are the 3 things you're really looking for. Are they doing what they're supposed to do? Are they not doing the things they're not supposed to do? And are there any unnoticed or unreported maintenance, risk, or liability type items? If you categorize it that way, the details of it kind of fall into place of the types of things. But I mean, honestly, Pete, just to get on site, making sure that the air filters are being changed every 6 months, you're going to save your owner a lot of money over the life of that property, a lot of money. Yeah. It's worth that. So
one of the things that we did at Empire was because people wouldn't respond to your calls, and we'd get a long list of, hey, these people aren't being cooperative. Right. So to combat that, what we did is we would not do a lease renewal unless they did the periodic. That
Mhm.
got a big amount of people to let you guys in, right? Because if they didn't do it, if they didn't do um, um, a lease renewal, then what we did is we would stick a for rent sign in their yard.
Nice.
Now that's
Nice.
drastic, but first we were doing like month to month, and then we realized that people still wouldn't do the periodic, but they pay the month to month. And I'm like,
Mm.
what the heck? They're going to pay an extra $200 plus an admin fee. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So for the few that would not, that wouldn't let you guys in, we would go in and we put a for rent sign and let them know that this is their 30-day notice and they're moving out. They in effect they gave us their notice by not allowing OnSight into the property. So just a tip there for if anybody is having challenges with a resident that's not letting somebody in because they're quote unquote too busy, right?
Yeah.
And you guys work. I think you guys work Saturdays, right? Don't you guys work
We do.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
work
Saturday
Saturdays?
appointments are precious though. They book up fast,
Yeah.
real fast. But I'll tell you something, another strategy that a lot of our clients pursue is they basically build a penalty and they say, hey, listen, if you don't get this scheduled, fine, we'll go meet OnSight pros and we'll go through the property with them. But you're going to pay for our time from the time we leave the property or leave our office to the time we get back to our office at X dollars an hour. And all of a sudden, people get it scheduled. It's amazing how available they become when when threatened with those kinds of things.
Well, I think again, I think it's getting. Well, you tell me, is it getting easier to schedule now that with a lot of people being able to work from home a couple of days a week? A lot of people
I
haven't
mean,
gone back to the office full time.
yeah, it's easier than it used to be. And honestly, in general, we've never had a significant amount of difficulty getting it. There's a percentage of people that just don't want you in their house. And that's more of a preference than it is availability. Because we can work with the people who have limited availability, but there are people who stonewall you. Those are the people that, whether
Meth
they're sitting
lab,
at home
drug
working from
lab,
home or not,
14 dogs, 22
right.
people. Yeah, exactly.
That's right. But those are also the properties that you most need to be in, right?
100%.
So,
100%.
yeah.
All right, so we got limited time left here, but I do want to talk a little bit about using the reports as a marketing tool.
Mm.
I think you had brought this up to me years ago, and just tell our audience, like, how to get clients by using these professional reports, whether you use OnSight Pros or Z Inspector or something like that. But what's the benefit, and how do we get clients by actually showing these reports?
Yeah, and we've got a lot of clients who do that. Some of our clients actually print out a copy of our report and they put it in their investor packets, which that's a lot of ink and a lot of paper. I don't really recommend that, but as part of the wooing process, they make sure that they get a copy of a report that has been done at a home in their portfolio and go, look, this is the type of property awareness that you can expect from us. And this is done by an independent third party. So they're showing you not what we want you to see, but what is. And it gives you confidence that we are caring for the property the way that you would want it to be cared for, that there aren't things going on there that we don't know about, that we are getting out there with regularity. We're not just going to get too busy and not be able to make it because we've got someone else who's doing it. And here is the thorough nature of that report. You're going to be able to maintain high levels of property awareness. And that's part of the value of what we provide you as a service as your property management company is this level of detailed property awareness. And it makes a huge difference to maybe not to that, institutional investor that's got 150 doors, but to that investor that's got 1, 2, 3 doors. Man, that is catnip
Actually,
for them.
the accidental landlord, which we're going to have an influx this year, it makes the
Mm.
most difference too.
Yeah.
And so it's more important now than ever. If you're able to know who your target is and who you're talking to, I highly recommend when you're talking to an accidental landlord that this report is in your sales pitch or in your marketing at some point. We had a report on our website. We literally linked the report on our website. We had a really good one and a really bad one. Because you know what? People don't want to see the perfect one. Like, I want to show you the bad one. Like this stuff happens. And I know some people would say, well, now you're showing them bad and you shouldn't do that. And maybe that's not the right thing or whatever. But we did both.
I think that's the right call.
Now at VPM, I talk to a lot of people who have like 100 doors, right? And so they're looking for their first remote team member. And every time I talk to them, for some reason, the demo becomes a coaching call, and the coaching call comes to, the going to the properties. And they have to, they feel like that, they still have to go to all these properties and do all this stuff. And I'm like, if you could, hire a field tech, great, but at 100 doors, you probably can't. So leverage OnSight Pros, let them do all the windshield time for you, figure out a way to offset the cost, whether it's to your owner or to your resident. And then you could hire the remote team member and train them to actually review the reports. And then they can move all escalations up to you. And so highly recommend Phil and his team. Phil, we're up against it. So I'm going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to put you in the hot seat, the lightning round. You ready?
I'm ready.
Right.
We'll see.
We'll be right back after this. Here we are, the lightning round. Phil Owen, CEO of OnSight Pros. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. All right. What piece of advice would you give someone just starting out in the PM business?
Do things today the way that you will wish you had done them 3 to 5 years from now. Start out building the way that you hope you will achieve. Build things in a scalable way. Don't just look at it and go, well, I've got time to do it now, so I'll always have time. You won't. Build things the right way from the ground up.
Does OnSight Pros use virtual assistants?
Absolutely. Lots of them. Thank you, by the way.
Does pineapple belong on? No, thank you. But does pineapple belong on pizza?
My favorite pizza is a thin crust, mushroom, bacon, pineapple, and black olive. Yes, unequivocally, yes.
We were used to be friends, Phil. We used to
wedge issues.
What was your first job?
Oh, my first job was waiting tables.
Really?
Actually, no, that's not true. My first job was working residential construction. That was before waiting tables.
Okay. What is your ideal vacation?
Oh, mountains. I live in the mountains, but I like to get away to the mountains. I hate the beach. Drives my family crazy because they love the beach, but I hate the beach.
What is something that most people don't know about you?
Oh, wow. You wouldn't know it from looking at me now, but in high school, I was actually an all-state wrestler. And once upon a time, I was a fit guy.
Like 110 pound? What?
In high school, it was 125 actually. So you're not too far off. College was 133, but that was when I got buff and up to 130 pounds. Right. That was big, Phil. Yeah.
Well, now I will let you win the pineapple on pizza war. I'm not definitely wrestling over that one. What book are you currently reading, or what is one that's impacted your business or life?
Currently I'm rereading Traction, which is one that has significantly impacted my life. That has changed our business. Traction by Gino Wickman. Agreed.
What Disney character do you most associate with?
Ooh. Gosh, that's a tough one. Let me go with.
So you froze up for a second. It's funny. All the questions that I ask in the lightning round, this is the one that gets people the most.
Well, I mean, there's so many. Like you're sitting here, you're racing through all of these. Can
I make a recommendation? Maybe
tell me. Oh, come on! I was going to go with Aladdin, but that's
somebody else's one was Aladdin. I like that one.
Yeah,
right. Not the genie, Aladdin.
Yeah, definitely Aladdin.
All right. What is one challenge you are currently facing in your business?
Gosh, scaling. It's a matter of the labor market is so tight that a lot of people are outsourcing, and they're going, hey, we can't hire and keep people to do this, so we want to outsource it. So they're bringing it to us, right. And we're having the same problem. But we're finally getting over that mountain. But that has been a huge challenge, is just the tight labor market.
Which do you prefer, dogs or cats?
Dogs.
All right, we're friends again. If somebody is listening to this and they want to get in touch with you guys or with your team over at OnSight Pros, what's the best way to contact you guys?
You can go through our website, OnSight Pros, and that's OnSight, as in sight, visual sight, OnSiGHTPROS.com.
And if you're listening to this and you're not a member of NARPM and you'd like to join, you can go to narpm.org, NARPM.org. You can email them at info@narpm.org or give them a call at 800-782-3452. And if you want to scale your business and you want to be able to go to the mountains or be on the beach and not have to worry about tons of emails and phone calls when you get back, and you want a remote team member or a bunch of them, go to VPM Solutions, Virtual Property Management Solutions, vpmsolutions.com, or you can email me at pete@vpmsolutions.com. Phil, thanks so much for being here today, man. Really appreciate it.
I want to revise my statement. Best advice I would give is join NARPM first day. They're going to teach you to set things up the right way. Start out joining NARPM. If you're not a NARPM member, fix that.
That's right. All right. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Pete.